friends. Welcome back to Steve Singing. I'm Brother Steve and I sing. I'm showing my age today a little bit more. Let's see. Let's pull the bulldog flaps back and look at there. 10 years younger automatically. Now here we go right back to today. I always hate these corners. I used to see people with those corners when I was young. And now I've got two corners. You just hate that. And you know, when you shave, the hair grows in there, and it's hard to get those whiskers out of those corners like that. Say if you get some Botox shots, you can fill up the gap. And but then if you get your plastic surgery, see, they disappear when you pull them back like that. So excuse me. I got an itchy nose. Some of y'all know what that's all about. That was a real itchy nose, not a nonverbal cue, as some people try to interpret things. So here we are on my old YouTube channel, Steve Singing. There's a couple other Steve Singing channels, I think, but it's a different person. It's not me. So if you want to hear me, you look for my picture. I think it's still me with the guitar, but I do have another channel with me standing in the Biltmore Mansion in Asheville, North Carolina. And I would recommend, if you're able to go visit the Biltmore Mansion in Asheville, the Asheville Village, Biltmore Village, excuse me. That's the village that got flooded by Hurricane Helene. I mean, it really tore that whole area up, but they're rebuilding and coming back strong. So when I went to the Biltmore Village, it was $35 to drive through the gate, and then you can go park there, and you park there or ride the shuttle or walk to the rest of the way into the house grounds there. Since I was there, it looks like they've planted some trees and made a few more changes of how you get into the mansion, the house, the big house there. When I went, we just walked right on through and walked right on up to the house, and then walked up into the front door. So showing my admission page, I pay for everything online, and then walked in. Instead of having a guided tour, I got the radio tour where you punch a code number in, stick it to your ear, and it explains the room that you're standing in. Then we walked through the the greenhouse portion, and right up there we got our picture took, which I did buy my picture, and it was $35 for the picture back then. So when did I go? It was 2013 when I went, and so I went through the whole house, and of course not every room is open for you to look into. But the strange thing about the house, though, the hallway was so narrow. And if you've ever been there, you'll know what I'm talking about. You know, you go upstairs and start going down the rooms, and it's like, you ain't got like 18 inches to walk down, you know, real small, short space. That seemed to be a little strange to me for such a house to be built with that cost so much money, you know. What was it? $95 million in $1895, something like that. George Vanderbilt was the son of the shipping magnate from the Northeast, and he inherited, just back then would have been gobs of money. Can do anything he wanted to do, and he did. He traveled the country, traveled the world. He decided to come to North Carolina when nobody had anything, and bought a tremendous amount of land. Then built that what is a model of a French chateau, which would have been the aristocracy, the well-to-do, or the ruling class from France. And you stand in front of the mansion, you know, you look out up the hill, there's another part cemented, walled off, and they go up that hill and look out and have picnics and stuff. And it's a magical little mansion building. And the old horse stables now has been converted into a restaurant and shopping spots. I've eaten in the restaurant and I've been to some of the shops there, and it was nice. I enjoyed it. But George Vanderbilt died in 1915 of complications from pneumonia, and his wife in 1929 opened the mansion up for tourists, but in 1932 she left and never returned, and her daughter, was Cornelia, whatever, took it over. And George Vanderbilt's wife married some guy, moved to New Jersey. Then she went to England, and she stayed in the UK until she died. She couldn't come back. So the latest Vanderbilt is one of their sons who lives on the property, but before she left in 1929, she donated, 92,000 acres to the state of North Carolina. It starts out behind the house, and that's the Mount Pisgah National Forest. It still belongs to the state. And so the actual estate now has 8,000 acres, which is still a tremendous amount of area. The French Broad River. And if you go down around to the back of the property, Antler Village, where the winery is, they make Biltmore wine, and the hotel's back there. And you go through the farming section where they had the old wagons and plows and tractors and the horse stables, and now where they got a big large chicken pen back there. So anyway, it gets on and on and on. It's a nice place to visit, and you can see how what was considered to be the very rich back then, how they lived. What impressed me was those 3 fireplaces in the dining room. I mean, just such exaggeration of what you need. You didn't need those 3 big fireplaces, the big dining hall and that great big table. It's just strange to me sometimes. Even today, our entertainers, earn some. Those that are on the media, earn gobs of money. There's plenty of entertainers in the United States that don't earn gobs of money, but they work regular and they have an income. And I think about the difference in like Porter Wagner in Nashville, Tennessee. The old Porter Wagner show, which was a good show. Let me give him a thumb up for Porter Wagner show. He had like the best country music show at the time, and connected with WSM and the Grand Ole Opry and all that stuff. But he lived in just a regular 3-bedroom brick house in a neighborhood in Nashville. But then you have some of these other stars. Hank Snow's another star. He just had a regular house in a neighborhood. His son Jimmy Snow became a preacher and still does preach. The last thing I knew about Jimmy Snow was he was at the river in close to Nashville, and pastoring that church. But he may not be there now. But Jimmy Snow had the Grand Ole Gospel Time for a while, and Oni Wheeler had a heart attack and died while they were during the service that they were having at the Opry House for Grand Ole Gospel Time, and on and on and on, But some of the stars, they just seem to lose their mind and go, ape crazy, like we used to say. And they got to have a 2-story, house with 3 kitchens, 5 bathrooms, and 2, 7 toilets and 2 bathrooms, 2 pools. And of course, that's not what you need. Most of us got our wits about us, and we just, a normal regular house is all you need. I remember we took the tour of the stars one year in Nashville, and I forget who had the guitar-shaped pool. If it was Webb Pierce or Roy Acuff, I don't forgot. We went through Roy Acuff's house at the time, and he just happened to be in the house at the time, and so he didn't want to talk to anybody, but he So he went in the kitchen, closed the door, and we brought everybody through the living room, went on out the back door and saw the pool, and then went back to the tour bus. And we went to the governor's mansion, Minnie Pearl's house, Webb Pierce, Hank Snow, and we went by Porter Wagner's house that day too, way so long ago. And of course, we went backstage at the old Ryman back then, and toured the old building before they had redone the building. So when the Ryman Properties got the Ryman Auditorium, got ownership, they refurbished the building. On the balcony, it had the old sign that said the old Confederate Gallery. So that was taken off, and then they rebuilt the stage at the old Ryman, and they took it apart and replaced everything. And see, the old Ryman was a church, so under the stage was an old baptistry, which was taken out because they didn't need it. The Ryman will probably never be a church again. It's really used as an auditorium for many events, and of course, being the home of the old Opry, it's called the Mother Church because it was a church. And on. So anyway, the new Opera House, we've been to that also, and that year we went, we saw Ernest Tubb and Marty Robbins, and Roy, and some of the other great stars. And of course, a year and a half later, Ernest Tubb died, and then Marty Robbins died too. So at that time, they had 2 shows on Friday and Saturday, and Marty Robbins usually was the last person on the show, coming on about 11 o'clock or so, and he would sing, and sometimes he would go over. And instead of singing the 2 songs he's supposed to, he ended up singing 4 or 5, and they would let him do it up to a point, and then they would drop the curtain, and then after the song you sing ended, they would stop, and switch to the Midnight Jamboree and all that kind of thing. So those are nice memories. But go to Biltmore in Asheville and visit the Biltmore Mansion. I think you'll be glad. It's really an all-day thing. So just plan to spend all day there, eat your lunch there, and walk around the village and go through the museum. Then come back around and go make sure you look at the Vanderbilt car they had. So cars were still brand new back then, but they had one. And when George Vanderbilt died, they kept it, and it's still on display. So those are nice memories. And I saw a pretty girl there from Indiana. I never did get her name. But hello, pretty girl. Hello, pretty girl from Indiana. All right. I see I am talking, but my lips sometimes don't look like they're saying what I'm saying, but there we go. All right. Hallelujah. Nashville, Tennessee is a good vacation spot. Most of us really sad about them closing Opryland in 1998. Opryland was a great place, and there's people who live where I live that when they were young worked at Opryland. We did have a news anchor down here. She's retired now. That worked at Opryland and played Minnie Pearl one year, I think she said. Now, the Opry Mills there that took its place seemed to be out of place to me, because the Opry House is there, WSM Studios is there, and then they look around and you look out behind and there's this big shopping mall. Somehow it don't look right. But when they built this thing, though, it was a great place to go. And the old outdoor theater had great acoustics. It's amazing, the Cumberland River back there, and there's a big mountain there. It just created something good for the acoustics. The old Ryman has good acoustics because it was built to amplify sound, because it was built during a time when there was not PA sets and amplification for your voice. So it was built in such a way with the wood they used that it would amplify your sound and your speech. But of course, when radio come along, they fixed it up for the electronics and stuff. So. Imagine our world without electricity now, you know. Even now, when the power goes off now, the air conditioner goes off, you don't have a fan, and people have lost the ability to know what to do without electricity. So it's been a loss of knowledge. In the old days, like Grandma's house, you had the old pioneer house, had them high ceilings, because heat rises, right? So the cooler air will stay toward the bottom. But even then, even with the high ceiling, in today's world of climate change and hotter weather, the high ceiling didn't matter much. It would be 90 degrees even with the high ceiling, you know. Shoot, I bet that ceiling must have been 20 feet high, or 25 foot high. And some of you know what I'm talking about with the high ceilings, and they used to crack the windows at the top of the doors and all these other things. You had the walk-through hall in the middle of the house with all the bedrooms on the sides. The old-fashioned way people used to build homes, trying to control the heat and the cold by the way they build the house. Unlike today with electricity, you're going to have an air conditioner, a heat pump, mini split, whatever it is, and you keep your house cool or hot, or whatever time of the year it is. But either way, you know. This old house I'm in was built in 1952, and had the old knob and tube wire, you know, back then before the wiring was changed to a different form, which still has insulation on it, but it isn't the old knob and tube stuff. So they claimed the old knob and tube stuff was a little bit dangerous. And this house, of course, had a pipe to the sewer, and the pipe drain, the kitchen drain under the house had the old melted lead in the middle of it. And stuck your pipe in that melted lead to seal it up, and then the cast iron pipe would go to the sewer line, and the sewer line is cast iron until it gets outside toward the road. So when I replaced the pipe, I took all the old melted lead pipe out and put in PVC and all that stuff. Back in the 50s, there weren't no PVC, and that was still the way they hooked up cast iron pipe, and stick it in the bigger one, then filling up the gap with melted lead in the outside rim. It was the way that was done. So we don't have a septic tank. We have the sewer line that goes out to the city line in the middle of the road. And of course, we live on what was farmland. And when the owner died, or the family decided to sell all their farmland out for to build homes on, and that's all these old fields now have homes on them. And what was once cropland with crops on it, we live on a hill too, so there won't be no danger of flooding. So it'll be other problems. Some people have live in a flood zone, and it's hard for them to get insurance, but they get flood insurance if they can. All right, what else can we talk about? I got on my old I used to work for RDM, still have the shirt. I work for Premium now, and I am looking for a second job, or possibly a different job to replace the one I have. And that's the way it goes. We were just looking at this morning of how rough it is on people now trying to get by. And of course, I watch a lot of YouTube, and I'm making this video for YouTube, and people are saying how about the cost of living, complaining how the prices go up but their salaries don't. Then I myself, go into all these stores, and I wonder myself, how are these people filling up their shopping cart with full of groceries? I mean, it's got to be $400 or $500 worth of groceries. How can they do that? I've been here all my life. I can't do that. And these are foreigners, migrant workers that come in, and they'll fill up their buggy and go and check out and take it all out, Whereas I can go get 25, 30, maybe $50 worth and have only one bag. It's amazing, and of course that's not sustainable in any economy. And many economists are even predicting the collapse of the United States as the $40 trillion national debt climbs even higher. Our, what is his name, the Secretary of War, Hedgemans, was just before Congress yesterday saying the Iranian war has already cost $37 billion, and he's in front of Congress, the congressional panel, asking for more money because to continue the war they've got to have another several $1 billion. Wow, that's a lot. Wow, $1 million has what is it, 6 zeros? $1 billion has 7. $1 trillion has 8 zeros. That is such an unbelievably large amount of money. And the $40 trillion debt it's just looking to be impossible for our government to find a way to reduce it, stop it, slow it down. I remember when the deficit was $3 trillion. That was 25 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever it was. Only $3 trillion, and had a better chance of controlling it then. But things have just escalated, and the economy is just, the interest on $40 trillion is already just about unpayable. The IRS income they get from taxes just doesn't keep up with it. And most of us are concerned about Social Security now. 2032 is the estimated date when they have to reduce benefits to people. So if you're getting $1,000 a month in Social Security, you may get cut back to $600 a month for Social Security, as there won't be enough funds to keep up with the current payouts by the month. So this is a serious problem that Congress is going to have to solve. It is solvable, but they may not like the way they have to solve it. Honestly though, there is no easy answers for a $40 trillion deficit. Obviously that's not sustainable. We don't want our government to collapse, but it looks like the government just going to have, Congress have to come and flat out just cancel all the government debt by law, and then start over with zero. That's the same thing with universal income. If universal income comes into play, there's no way to fund it. So government would just have to decree that through everybody's bank account we get $500 a month. Where's it gonna come from? I don't know. Maybe from nowhere. It's just like to pay off $40 trillion. You just can't pay it off. Ideas are plentiful, but not practical. The $40 trillion debt would cost every citizen in America so many $100s a year they'd have to pay in to help reduce it. The IRS would, have to stop giving refunds every year. But then that's still a drop in the bucket. That's because it's too high. So it's going to get to be such an issue when prices keep going up and nobody can buy anything because prices are too high. That's the faulty thinking of our leaders with all the layoffs and the AI computers talking about replacing people's work. And they're eliminating the customers that they need by claiming to lay off all these people. You can't keep laying off people and expect to have customers. You won't be able to meet anybody's need because they can't pay you. This is the faulty thinking of our leaders. And regular people like me and you, we didn't ask for robots. Governments decided that we needed to have robots doing work. Having a tractor in the field to plow the dirt up, that's a great thing. Saves the life of a horse. But if you got a robot that's going to go out there and drive the tractor, then what are you going to do as the farm owner? You see, it's circular thinking without thinking about how you're going to get somebody paid to be a customer to buy any product that any store might have for sale. You know, even now with all the layoffs, when you start laying off people, stores start closing up because they don't have customers. And that's something. The only people that don't seem to be hurt by the economy are crooks, criminals, and government employees. They seem to do well. Even our so-called unofficial government, they seem to do well in a bad economy too. Isn't that something too? They're really not unofficial. They get funded by the regular government anyway. So. All right. Well, you know, let's see. I've been talking 25 minutes today. Didn't plan on know what I was going to say. I keep rubbing my eyebrows, but I see the white was poking up a little bit. Either way, I always like to put my bulldog flaps back, take off 10 years, and see how I used to look. There we go, like that. But anyway, we want to pray for everyone to do well today, to survive well, and have healing and help for you and your family today. I truly want everyone to get their needs met. I want you to have something to eat today, have clothes on, take care of business, have your roof over your head and a bed to sleep in tonight. In our area, there are lots of homeless that are going to be sleeping under a tent or on a blanket, whatever, behind a bush in a tree side of the road, unless a policeman comes along and tells them to have to move. I just read in another state where they have the police can arrest homeless people in the city park and take them to jail. So they did, charged them with a felony in their state. And the guy's got no money, he's got nowhere to go. He can't even pay the fine. But the judge lets him go out of jail and sends him back out. And a guy picks him up, takes him back to the same park, gets him something to eat. And he's going to spend the night behind the bush there in the city park again, because he has nowhere to go. And I'm sure the guy don't want to live that way the rest of his life. Nowhere to go, depending on charity and donations, because they can't. They don't have an address. How they going to get a job? You know, it becomes a big round circle because you can't get out of the situation. It takes a lot of people to help, place to stay. You know, some of them been homeless so long they can't work, wouldn't be able to hold a job even if they had one. So I don't know. There's no easy answers to people who are homeless. Some are there not because they wanted to, but because life worked against them too long. They lost everything they had and they ended up side of the road. It's pretty obvious when you're in front of everyone homeless. Even in big cities like New York City, they sleep on the sidewalk, lean up against a building, sleep on a bench. It's obvious they got nowhere to go. They've lost everything. I hate it when you see that life has worked against someone so long and for so much that they lose it all. I know a lot of people aren't there because they want to be. Some people are nomads, live in trucks and cars and vans. And that's the only home they have is on four wheels, and they stay somewhere as long as they can, and then if you got enough gas, go on down the road a little further and stay there a while. A lot of people aren't there because they want to be. They're there because they have to be. They have no other way, no choice, no nothing. That's when life, is working against Americans like me and you. And even in my little short life, life has worked against me an awful lot. I don't have a whole lot. Some months we're short on the budget. We have to do without. Well, then that's life, high prices. So. But I'm praying for you today, for you to do well, get your needs met, have help, and be healed. and do well. So I've talked now 30 minutes, and I hope you get something out of this little short talk. And we'll see you again real soon.